FMV games are a very interesting breed of games. When they originally came out on the home console market on the Sega CD, it was pretty much this whole new world of interactive video games. Nobody had seen full motion video in games before, with actual people and actors and stuff running on a CD format, and it was pretty mind-blowing. Now, of course, FMV games did not take off all that great because the technology simply wasn't there. On the Sega CD, you had these horribly cropped video footage. It was very murky, it was hard to distinguish all the colors, and unfortunately it just wasn't that fun of an experience. The novelty sort of wore off after a while. Now, FMV games sort of stuck around for a little bit. You of course had games on the 3DO, the Sega Saturn, and even the PS1, but still the novelty was wearing thin. Although the video quality was better, people actually wanted more video games, not interactive movies and interactive cutscenes, which essentially these games were. Well, as time goes on, nostalgia starts to build, and now FMV games are popular again. With the recent re-release of Night Trap from Limited Run Games, it really got a lot of eyes back on FMV games, and people thought, you know, maybe FMV games have come far enough now. Maybe since the technology is there with all these awesome systems like the Switch, the PS4, and the Xbox One, maybe it's time to revisit these FMV games. Well, a recently released game for the Nintendo Switch is called The Bunker, which is the first FMV game on the platform. This game also came out on the PS4 and the Xbox One. Well, I recently received a code for The Bunker on the Nintendo Switch, and I decided to check it out because I was always drawn to FMV games. I knew the games weren't all that good, but just the thought of an interactive movie experience, as long as the script is good enough, it could be pretty interesting. So today on the channel, we're going to review The Bunker for the Nintendo Switch, the PS4, and the Xbox One. So sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about The Bunker.
Hey, RGT 85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards! So as you can tell by the name of the game, The Bunker, you are living in a bunker, and you pretty much are trying to survive this nuclear war that's going on above you, and there's radiation stuff and whatnot going on. So basically, you're just trying to stay alive. You play as a male character who isn't quite all there, I don't think. He obviously has some emotional issues. He obviously has some mental constraints that you sort of learn about as the game progresses. After a brief cutscene, you are pretty much thrust into the game from the child aspect to where you are now as an adult. So you could sort of see what happened to him, at least in a brief segment, as more of what happens to him becomes relevant in the later parts of the game, but you could sort of see what the situation is. So as the game starts, you realize that you are the only person left in this bunker. Your mother has passed away, and she was pretty much your rock. She was like your confidant, your main person. And you start to see how this guy is a little bit off kilter because his mother's dead body is laying in bed, and he's still reading her bedtime stories. That's actually part of his daily checklist. You have a checklist when the game starts out, and it pretty much starts you out slow so that you could sort of get into the atmosphere of the game. You have to do basic things like check radiation levels, check your radiation levels, make sure everything in the bunker is operating smoothly, and then you proceed throughout your day. That's pretty much your day. You got to eat some food, etc., etc. Now, the bunker doesn't do anything to really deviate from the standard gameplay of an FMV game because it's an FMV game. You sort of point and click where you want to go. You can use the Nintendo Switch's touchscreen if you're playing the Switch version of the game, which is pretty nice, but that's pretty much all you do. There's some button tapping segments that you have to do as well, and you pretty much just figure out your way through the bunker. Certain events happen that cause you to go to certain areas of the bunker, and you start to get more into the backstory of the game. And that's pretty much the interesting part of the game, is the backstory of the game. How these events led up to this moment. What actually happened? Why is there nobody left in the bunker except for you? And you sort of get into the horror aspect of the game, because at its core, I thought The Bunker is actually a horror game, and I think it's sort of touted as that in the main image of the game, but it's not a horror game where there's sort of like jump scares and stuff like that. It's more playing on the atmosphere, more playing on the primitive mindset of your main character that you're playing as. Certain events, like I said, happen, and you go into different sectors of the bunker to basically stay alive because there's certain things that are happening, and it's pretty interesting. It's sort of hard to talk about an FMV game in decent review because so much of it relies on the story of the game, because you know what you're getting into. You know there's going to be a lot of pointing and clicking and maybe some button mashing and stuff, but most of the game hinges on the actual story of the game. So if you don't like sort of horror style So if you don't like sort of horror style stories and sort of, tense situations and stuff, I don't think the bunker is going to do much for you, because it honestly doesn't do much to deviate from FMV games. There's nothing new here. There's nothing special. It plays it very safe in terms of gameplay. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but it is just what it is. Now, as far as the presentation of the bunker is concerned, it's actually pretty good. A lot of these actors are supposedly like modern actors and popular people. I have no idea who these people are because I haven't watched a movie in like 10 years as far as new movies go, but it seems like these people know what they're doing. They're actually competent actors. They are good enough actors to keep you involved in the story, and the dialogue in the game is pretty well written. The script is very solid. It's a very solid movie, and that's pretty much how you have to look at this game, because it does not take very long to play. It takes about 2.5 to 3 hours. Now, there are 2 different endings in the game, but the way the game is set up is kind of silly, honestly, because I got the first ending of the game and I was curious to see about the second ending, because at the end of the game you have to make a decision, and the decision pretty much plays into what ending you're going to get. So I did the first decision and I was like, okay, cool, well maybe I'll play through the game again, see if I missed anything, see if there's any different sort of ways I can go, and get the second ending. But when I loaded up my save, it actually saved right before you make your decision, and I was like, oh, well, I could just load this and then, make the second decision. So that was sort of a bit of a drawback for me. I thought that was kind of lame. And yeah, I could have played through the whole game again, but I was more interested to see if I missed anything previously on a previous save. But no, it just auto-saved right before you made the decision. And I will say, honestly, the conclusion, no matter which decision you make, it was a bit of a letdown, I thought. Everything leading up to it was very interesting. It really sort of took this weird sort of turn. The protagonist maybe became antagonist and vice versa. There was a lot of weird stuff going on. It was very cool, and then the ending just kind of fell flat in my opinion. I felt like they could have really fleshed out the ending. The audio was pretty good in the game though. Like I said, the dialogue was good, the written dialogue, and of course the speech dialogue, and the presentation is solid as well, whether you're playing on the TV or the Nintendo Switch's handheld mode, which is actually how I played 95% of the game. I actually played this game over my Easter vacation when I was up in Connecticut, and that's where I played and beat the game. I did check it out on TV mode just to make sure it looked good. So as far as the bunker is concerned, it's kind of hard, because if you're not into sort of horror sort of, stories and things like that, you're not going to like the game. If you don't like FMV games, you're not going to like the game. The bunker doesn't do anything to deviate or advance the FMV genre. It plays it very safe. And so it really comes down to whether or not you like the script and the atmosphere that the bunker sort of conveys. I thought it was pretty solid for the most part. It was pretty good. The lead character was interesting enough. I wanted to see this game to a conclusion. I wanted to know what happened to everyone in the bunker, where they all went to. Was there a leak? Was there a radiation thing going on? And it sort of propelled me to keep playing the game. But I could definitely see people getting very bored with the game, because through and through it is simply just a solid FMV game. But if you're not a fan of the genre, it's not going to make you a fan of the genre. Me personally, I kind of look at it like a good movie. It gave me 2.5 to 3 hours of enjoyment. I liked the script. I liked the way everything went, except maybe the ending. And I had a decent enough time with it. The presentation was solid enough. So if you're interested in FMV games and you only have a Nintendo Switch, this is the only ball game in town. So you might want to check it out. If you have a PS4 or an Xbox One, there are other FMV games out there, but if you've played those, I think the bunker's worth a check out. It's not a bad game. It just plays it very, very safe when it comes to FMV games. So those are my thoughts on the bunker for the Nintendo Switch. I had some of you guys reach out to me and ask me to review it, and I realized, hey, I need to review this because I beat the game a week ago and completely forgot to do a video on it. And yes, I am actually using a new camera. If you've stuck around to this portion of the video, you're obviously an RGT 85 diehard. So I have a brand new camera setup that I've got going on, so hopefully it looks better. It's a Lumix G7. I'll maybe make a little video on it showing off what I got. I actually got a new Rode mic, but I'm not using that right now. But yeah, we're upgrading the equipment around here, and really that's because of the Patreon backers. So I want to thank all my Patreon backers, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this review of the game, and let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the bunker. Maybe you've played the game, or maybe you've been on the fence about it, and maybe I steered you one way or the other. Maybe I pushed you to buy the game, or maybe I pushed you off the fence and now you have no interest in it whatsoever. And if you really enjoyed this video, make sure you check out the links in the description box down below. We got Patreon, t-shirts, social media, a Discord server. There are all sorts of ways to keep up to date with the world of RGT 85, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.
RGT 85! RGT 85! RGT.